So today I'm going to be speaking about the integration of awakening in one's life. And when you have a spiritual awakening, you realize that you are the God source, that everyone is the God source, and there's nothing but the God source wherever you go, whatever you do. So from that perspective, it seems like you should be happy all the time. You should be in a state of oneness. You should be in a state of peace and gratitude all the time. And yet, the interesting thing about being human is that life contains this infinite mystery to it. And what's interesting about this mystery is that we're not here to figure it out because it's infinite. It will always be a mystery. And our job is to keep asking the eternal question, diving deeper into the mystery, of what am I really here to learn? How am I to grow? What do I need to let go of? Whatever question that you can't ask yourself, it's probably the question that you most need to ask yourself, right? So this integration process is huge. And what happens is when, say a 20-year-old or 40-year-old or 60-year-old, all those years that they've had in their life of life experiences of identifying with the ego, of feeling separate, feeling small or unheard or fearful, all those tight contracted experiences that they need to find a home. They need to find a place in this place of awakening that says I'm one with everything. And so you'll see that sometimes you see spiritual beings and teachers that they have these great awakenings and they're really they're on top of it. They're really clear. They have this emotional connection with their past, and they're very real. Okay? Meaning that they're able to feel sadness and feel anger and feel pain and feel the darker feelings, the heavier feelings. They're allowing themselves to feel those things because they're embracing the totality of their being. And this is a much more, I'd say, just a softer, more expansive state of being that is more inclusive. It's more empowered in one place because it allows for vulnerability. And somebody who can't allow themselves to be vulnerable is truly missing out. They're truly still living in ego, living in protection. And so it's diving into these deepest parts of ourself that are completely, they're still holding on to the memory of whatever the pain body, whatever that part of our pain memory is holding on to. That aspect needs to find some form of truth, right? And so for you to really look inside yourself, and acknowledge, what part of yourself is still resisting whatever emotion, whatever tight, contracted, or sad, or heavy feeling, whatever it is that's inside of you, what's going to bring that to a fullness, a totality, a clarity. And you'll see that, when somebody has an awakening experience, it's something that they're integrating their entire life all along the way. Okay, so they're not closing the door to anything of the past. They're truly healing and fully feeling whatever the feelings are. Okay, so there's no sense of needing to control the feelings. There's a willingness to feel the depth of the pain and be open to it. And so, for me personally, there is this experience of sadness that has been with me throughout my entire life. And when I had my first awakening at age 25, I realized that this was something that actually brought me into a state of softness, a state of where I'm more receptive, where I'm able to actually cool down that fire of that masculine energy and move into more the feminine side, which gave me a sense of balance. gave me a sense of healing, gave me a sense of I can just be myself in my authenticity and not have to cater to the ego on any level. Okay? So when you look inside yourself, you'll see that there's trauma there. We all have trauma. If you're human, you have it. If you've been in a relationship, you have it. If you've never been in a relationship, you've got it. Because there's just an experience of being alive that traumatizes us, because we've created this sort of this nutshell of protection of our ego at age 7, and from that place we've felt separate, and so the rest of our life is this unraveling, this decaying, this letting go of the ego. And when the awakening process happens, when the actual awakening experience happens, there's a complete destruction of that there's no longer a shell at all. And there's just the vastness, the infiniteness, the pure potentiality, the sense of oneness, a sense of truth and realness. And yet, it's very important to integrate and to welcome and continue welcoming all of your life, all of the pain, all the trauma, all the sense of I'm not enough of this or I'm too much of that, until there is nothing left. Until each moment you can look back in your life and say, I've met it all. There's nothing there that hasn't been loved, hasn't been healed, hasn't been embraced, hasn't been touched by my heart. And so it may take your entire lifetime to go back through the movie reel and to go through each scene and through each experience and to be fully self-realized. That's what my experience is of full self-realization. It's a totality of all of the emotion and all of the sense of pain and pleasure as well that are allowed to be here now. That there's no more resistance. There's no more tending to the ego's need to control or redistribute attention somewhere else so that you don't focus on something that hurts, a memory. So when you look back at your past, it's important to just be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Don't try to hide. We can't hide. There's no way. And why would we want to hide? There's no purpose in pretending or hiding anymore at all for anyone, because the truth is so easily seen, and anybody who's just got eyes and ears, they can look at you and they can say, oh, I can see where that person's in pain. I can see there's something they haven't dealt with. And so why would you want to hide from them seeing that? The fear of embarrassment or sense of pride, all of that, it doesn't matter. What matters most is your full self-realization, your full totality of just being okay with who you are, accepting every part of yourself from every experience of your life. Because there's so many experiences, and some are so great and some are so not so great. So it's just about allowing them all to be here. And the sad ones are just as beautiful as the angry ones, just as beautiful as the depressed ones, as just as beautiful as the sense of appreciation and gratitude. It's all rich. It's all divine. And when you can let in the totality of all of who you are, then this is what the fullness of your being is really about. The sense of really showing up in life. Because you can show up, just in your head and just live from here to here. Right? From your chin to the top of your head. You can live from that place. It's not really fully living, but it's living a life, trying to live. And there's a resistance to feeling. Because feeling all happens down in the belly, in the heart. So the totality of your being is really living in your full body. It's really saying yes to everything that's inside your body. And not resisting anything. Not even resisting the thought of resistance. Or any judgment that you may have about yourself or others. It's just letting it all be here. It's saying yes to it all. And you'll see that the more that you can allow the dark parts of yourself and the lighter parts of yourself, you'll see that the more mature you become, the more enlightened you feel, the more the synchronicities and the magic show up in every moment of your life. And that's what you're really here for. You're really here to live this amazing life that is magical, truly magical in each moment. And it's not hard to do. In fact, it's totally effortless. When you fully show up, when you really let all of whoever you are to be here. All the pain, all the pleasure, all the craziness, all the sense of oneness and the yearning and desiring and I can't and the failure and everything, whatever it is, all of it. Let all of you show up. Because if you cut out a certain part of yourself, then that part is just going to want to be heard and felt and loved and reunited with the rest of the parts. It's going to be feeling lost. And why would you want a part of yourself to feel lost? This is about bringing all of the parts of yourself home and loving all of them. Because they're all lovable. They're all like little kids that, they stubbed their toe and they need someone to hug them. Or they got really angry at their friend and they just need to know that it's okay, that you're still friends. There's forgiveness. Right? Go through your whole life and talk to those people that you can't talk to. Forgive them. Right? Reach the place of forgiveness inside and communicate to them whatever it is that you can't share, what you can't say, that is going to come from a place of forgiveness, from love, from a sense of gentleness, a sense of surrender. Surrender is probably the biggest secret that you'll ever find. It's perhaps the hardest thing you could ever do. It's not really a doing. It's more of just a releasing. Okay? But surrendering to whatever the experience is. Surrendering to this experience of you here now, listening, watching, taking this in. Like looking at your life. Just surrendering to that process of looking at you. What is that like? What would happen if that's all you did today? All day long. Is you just surrendered to looking inside. And just exploring. Not trying to figure it out. Because remember, it's a mystery. It's more about the experience in each moment. It's more about the magic that shows up from just being this aliveness, this vitality, this sense of just being here. Okay? Because this is an amazing place. Look at this universe. Look at this world. Look how big it is. It's huge. It's beyond the mind's comprehension. Even the size of this planet is so big you can't imagine. It's like the middle of this earth is 3,000 miles beneath your feet. 3,000 miles. It's a long way. Imagine how big this planet is. It's so big. And so just keep on expanding that and seeing just how amazing this world is. How many different things are here. Different people. Different things that you never even knew existed are here. So it's a magical world. It's an amazing world. There's more possibilities here than you can imagine. And so when you open to that, then it's much easier to open to those parts of you in your past that need to be integrated, that need to come home to you, to surrender to the source of who you are, which is the God source. If you could put that word on it, it's the highest form of intelligence, consciousness, creativity, knowledge, power. It's the source of everything. And so it's nothing you can really see with your eyes, necessarily, or feel even with your senses. It's deeper than that. It's something that's beyond the mind. And so this is about just total surrender. Just dropping the mind completely, dropping everything you knew to be true, to completely surrender to that underlying current of divinity that is at the core of your being, the very core of who and what you are. And you've got it. Everybody's got it. Every rock, tree, bird, everything has this underlying conscious presence. The awarenessness of who you are is here listening. It's always awake. You don't have to turn it on. It's always on. It's just about surrendering to it. And the integration process will happen naturally and effortlessly on its own accord as you continue this surrender, this deepening. Okay? So trust the journey. If you don't trust it, it just becomes harder. And that's okay too. It's just, you know that you can have an enjoyable ride and a very adventurous, fun time here on this planet. And the key is truly surrendering through each experience to the core of your being, to this God source that's here, this divine being that you really are. Okay? So thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourself. Be well.